One of the television networks here, ABC, is projecting that Donald Trump has won Texas. We were talking a little bit earlier in the program about demographic change in Texas and the possibility that Democrats continue to dream of pulling it into their corner. According at least to the ABC projection, that is not going to be the case today. Donald Trump projected to win that. Let's turn our attention, though, now to Arizona and Michigan, where our correspondents are standing by. Polls in both of those key states have now closed. Let's start by crossing to Toni Waterman first. She is standing by in Maricopa County in Arizona. And Toni, I know vote counting is already underway there. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? And how is Arizona ensuring transparency in the process?
Well, Simon, you know that Arizona and particularly Maricopa County were ground zero when it came to election denialism back in 2020. These bogus claims that the election was stolen. So election officials in the state have been working on this issue of transparency for 4 years now. They've done this massive information campaigns. They've opened up their facilities so that people can tour them and see what they look like inside. They've invested millions of dollars, sometimes building brand new facilities with the latest, greatest technology to show that these are safe. You have some of these ballot drop boxes that have GPS tracking so the ballots can be tracked every step in the process. Here at the Maricopa County Tabulation Center, this is where all of the votes are going to be counted in Maricopa County, which is the largest county in Arizona and the largest county in all of the battleground states. And they have invested a lot of money to make sure that these the election accounting is secure and transparent. You go on their website, you can see a bunch of different camera angles streaming live all of the activity that is taking place inside. So the public has eyes on those ballots at all time. But really, when we talk about transparency, it is in the eyes of the beholder. And we saw that there was a recent CBS YouGov poll that showed that more than 70% of Republicans in the state still do not believe that Biden won Arizona in 2020 legitimately, and that just 9% of them believe that this election is going to be carried out fairly and accurately. So this is an issue that is very much bubbling at the surface still here in Arizona. And when we have some glitches at some of these voting polls during the day, like we saw in Apache County, where you had these glitches with the printing of some ballots. This feeds in sometimes to these conspiracy theories. Officials are trying to contain that. Also, it's going to take a long time for the votes to be tabulated here, to be counted here in Arizona. Officials say potentially up to 13 days. This is normal, they keep stressing. But they are concerned that any sort of delay is going to feed into these conspiracy theories that the election is being rigged.
13 days. Imagine that. Toni Waterman, live for us in Arizona, a border state where immigration has been a huge issue in this campaign. Thanks very much for that. Let's move to Michigan, where we find Mitch McCann with updates for us tonight from Detroit. Mitch, you've moved positions. Tell us where you are. All the polling stations in the state have now closed. From your vantage point, how are the results shaping up so far?
Yeah, that's right. Good evening from the Democratic headquarters here in Michigan tonight, Simon, in downtown Detroit, where there's a very buoyant mood, I have to say. You can probably hear the music in the background. The party really is just getting started, although it is too early, I think, for people in Michigan to decide which way the race is going to go. So at the moment, there are 500,000 votes that have been recorded, only 10% of the vote here. Kamala Harris is ahead, 52% to Donald Trump's 45%. So it's very early, and we have to remember this state is one of those battleground states where it is very close. Joe Biden won this state by 150,000 votes in the last election. Donald Trump won it by just 11,000 votes in 2016. So it is going to be close tonight. The networks here say it is way too early to call this state yet. But it's interesting what Toni had to say around adapting or changing the way they vote in different states. There have been some big changes here in Michigan. In 2022, Simon, they passed a rule which meant if you early vote in this state, those results can be counted 8 days up until election day, and then they'll obviously be released on election night. Now, so many people early voted here, more than 3.3 million. That's almost half of all registered voters here in Michigan. That means we are going to get a good indication of which way the state is going in the next couple of hours, because those results are ready to be released. But we'll keep you up to date. At the moment, only 10% of the vote counted. Kamala Harris head here, but it's early days.
Mitch McCann for us in Detroit, Michigan tonight. Thank you very much for that. The New York Times and CBS are saying that Donald Trump has won in Ohio, and that earlier call that I told you about from ABC, Trump winning Texas, has now been matched by calls from Fox News and CNN. Let's send it back to Jim.